When rent hits $2,000, this is where people end up. Not because they're lazy, but because the system stopped working. Millions are out here getting priced out of the American dream, so they're building a new one out here.
Hi, my name is Brooke. I'm a homeless disabled veteran, and I'm using my page to show what it's like to try and get back on your feet once you become homeless. One thing that most people don't tell you when you are thinking about staying in an RV when you realize that you can't afford to stay in a house anymore is that your RV needs to either be built within the last 10 years or needs to be aesthetically pleasing. So unfortunately for me, since my RV is built in 1993, all of the RV parks that I called today, I do not qualify for, even if I could afford them. The cheapest place I found close to me was Pin Oak RV Resort, and it is $775 a month before you add tax and utilities, which is going to be $30 for sewer, water, $40 for the admission fee, so a total of $889.34 a month. And while we technically could shell out the money to stay there for a little bit, the amount of money that we would be spending in that lot rent, we wouldn't be able to save any money to be able to move from the lot, which we would have to move from the lot because all of these places only allow people to stay for 3 to 6 months. And we are a one-income family at this point. So more than likely, we are going to go live at a Love's again for a little while, which could or could not turn out good. We have definitely had cops come up to our door staying at parking lots before. The system wants the poor and the unhoused to fail, which is actually crazy because the system is entirely funded by the poor people who are failing. Anyways, I'm going to be going live today at 1 p.m. to talk about my situation, share resources that I found, and maybe I'll be able to help somebody else find resources that they didn't know about. All right, see you then.
So, due to how terrible the economy is and how expensive the cost of living has really been, a lot of people are finding different survival strategies and making it work for themselves. Even though this is actually not something, a lot of it isn't people's choices, but it's just what circumstance like you find yourself in. So a lot of people are finding ways to survive and places to live in that were never meant to be homes. Places like their cars. People are living in tents. Some people are living in some RV. Some people are living in storage units, and so many other places that they could actually just find some shelter in because of how expensive things are. People have different reasons. Sometimes like the whole credit system and how your credit score might just become too much of a trouble. For some people, they can't even get into an apartment, and this apartment rent is actually very high and very, very expensive. And sometimes people find themselves in different situations. So you can't really specifically just say, oh, this is the reason why everybody's out there. There's just so many reasons. So I thought we should check out this video and see how people are actually making it out there. But before we get right into this video, please make sure you click the like button. It helps with the algorithm, and I appreciate that so much. Let's get right into this video.
2 months living in my car and I'm not struggling. I've saved over $5,000 doing this. People hear car life and think poverty, but sometimes it's just discipline. I chose this life to get ahead, not to survive. I'm homeless, not hopeless. I've got a plan.
Well, yesterday, this is going to piss you off, it pissed me off. Yesterday or today, Donald Trump signed an executive order. And the executive order states that these 771,000 people that live in this nation that are considered homeless, well, they are considered criminals now because it has now been deemed illegal to be homeless in the United States. And that's all 50 states. So basically, the people that are at their lowest point in their life, people that are struggling, and the reason why a lot of people are homeless is because they can't afford to live. Nobody can afford rent. Nobody can afford to buy a home. There are so many people that have been pushed out on the streets in the last few years because of rent prices that went so high. They've had to move in with their parents or sleep in their car. And oh yeah, on top of that, it's also illegal to sleep in your car now. Van life is over. You can no longer do that now. They've made that a crime. So welcome to the new America where it's illegal to be homeless, it's illegal to sleep in your car, and rent is so high you can't even afford it. So before you know it, we're all going to be in jail because nobody's going to be able to afford rent, and we're not allowed to sleep in our cars anymore. This should make you sick.
Hi, I'm Ava, I'm homeless and I live in a bus, and this is Cricket. We're in a campground bathroom currently, which is why it's so well lit. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the word homeless because I've been blowing up on Facebook and I've had a lot of other homeless people specifically get mad at me for using the word homeless. And I do understand, because if you've had the quote-unquote traditional homeless experience of being actually on the street, you would see a girl in a bus with presumably daddy's money as like LARPing, but I don't have daddy's money. I don't speak to my abusive father anymore. And the only reason we quote unquote have money now is because we just started our like content creation thing last June. So getting out of being homeless is really hard. Everyone knows this. Everyone also thinks that you can't like say that you're homeless unless you've been digging out of the fucking garbage. Being without a legal address means that you're homeless. In this society, you are completely cut off from doing anything if you have no legal address. I have just finally been able to like start using a friend, coworker-ish person who I've known. I've just started being able to pay her to use her address, but it's like I don't have family, I don't have friends in the state who like would allow me to do such a thing. So like this is a huge privilege, but it's not something that I had for a really long time. We didn't have our vehicles registered. If a cop were to come up and figure that out, they would have told us and we would have been on the street like everyone else. Homelessness is a spectrum. When we first became homeless in our bus, we didn't have anywhere to go. I bought the bus with the last of my savings from my corporate job. And we were barely surviving off of $400 a month. Obviously, that's not sustainable. I used up the little amount of my credit cards that I had and was like constantly paying off and like trying to just gain anything. We could not afford food. We were living just off of food pantries. Like, it was genuinely a very difficult experience. We stayed on a mountain for longer than we should have. We had a lot of encounters with police that I had to deal with because police would get immediately aggressive with Alder simply for just being a man. There's a lot of shit. Like, I understand how fucking hard it is to be without a safe place to be. I know that I had a tent to sleep in, but it didn't have heating. It was very cold. We didn't have power. We basically just had like a steel tent that could move around. Like, it's...
Our tent finally gave up on us, y'all. Let's put up a new one. Being homeless is no joke. Being homeless in a tent, no joke, y'all. This is real wild. I'm mainly saying this because this is literally, like, we set this up probably like 3 or 4 days ago, and it's already broken, y'all. No, it didn't collapse on the cats. Nothing happened to them. Nothing happened to anything or anybody, y'all. The tent, like, moved over a little bit and ripped a piece of, like, the corner part out. So, like, there's a big ass hole in the corner of it now. Yes, our brand new tent, y'all. The one we had previous to this was also a brand new tent, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. But we went and bought this one, and it was fairly cheap for how big it is. I was surprised. Just mad that it's broken already, so it's fine. We'll fix it, or we'll go return it, get our money back, or just get a different tent. I don't know, y'all. We'll see. Or we might just deal with this one because it's just too much work to go all the way back into town again, take all the shit out of this, and then buy another. I don't know. It just seems like too much rather than just dealing with what we got. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, back to what I was saying before, y'all. We have literally been through like 4 air mattresses and literally just gave up. We have a twin air mattress and we got that when we got here. Our kids have been sleeping on that. Luckily, we got that last minute. The one that we had before that the kids were sleeping on literally had got a fucking hole in it. So we got extremely lucky with this one. So the boys sleep on there and we sleep on the floor, and it's rocky as shit. My hips hurt like a bitch, but it is what it is, and we have a place to stay, and that's the only thing that I care about. While a lot of y'all disagree with how we're living and everything like that, we're doing it with purpose and intention. It's not forever. It's just temporary, y'all. And also, while I know you guys won't listen to all this or even get to this point of the video to even care enough, I still always want to throw that out there just in case somebody does make it this way. We're exhausted, y'all. We're so tired. I mean, like, think about camping for, I think we've been doing this for 5 or 6 weeks now, and then now we're just like in a whole new environment, whole new everything. It's so wild, y'all. As always, we're doing the damn thing. I think this is like our 8th home literally in like 4 months, y'all, and we're just like, what the fuck is really happening here? There's only so much we can do with our situation, and honestly, we're just doing the best that we can with everything that we have, which is honestly more than a lot of homeless people, but I don't view us as the typical homeless people. We're honestly just a family that fell on hard times, and we'll get right back off of these hard times. We'll be just fine, y'all. I feel like there's a lot of lessons in all of this, and honestly, I just can't wait to get the hell out of it and figure out what the hell all the purpose was. Here's the finished product of this butte. It's a lot bigger than our other one. My husband still has to put over the tarp on top, but here's the inside. My son's crawling around in there already. It's beautiful, and we absolutely love and adore it. Like I said, it may not be perfect to y'all, but it's perfect to us, and it'll do with what we have right now in the situation that we're in right now. As always, we love those who love us. Thank y'all for being here.
So behind me, we have a woman living in a dog house. That's a dog house. She's been on this corner for a long time, and someone got her dog house. So people are saying Portland is fine. Portland is nowhere near fine, especially if you're finding people like this in this situation. This is just so surreal to even see. Now, I approached her. I've talked to her a few times. She is refusing help. She is a refugee, actually from Africa, and came here a few years ago and ended up street homeless pretty quickly afterwards. I think she said she came here about 2 years ago. Anyway, living in a doghouse, that is just this really sad and pathetic reality of the streets of Portland, is people like this are just allowed to live this way. I mean, this is an extremely busy area too. Thousands of cars are driving by here every single day and nothing is getting done. Because in the eyes of most people in Portland, it's okay that she's doing this because it's her choice.
Hey guys, I'm Jack and I live out of my car, and I get a lot of comments wondering as to why I'm living out of my car and what my story of what brought me here. Honestly, I've shared this story before. This is the shortened version of the story of why I'm homeless and why I'm continuing to be living out of my car. It was just a bunch of unfortunate events that happened back to back. I was living at home with my mom at the time. However, those apartments were very old and not taken care of, so they collapsed and then they kicked us out. The landlord that bought them provided us with the hotel room for all of us to live in. As you can imagine, 8 people in one room did not work out well. A month after that, I was in an accident and my car got totaled, and I had no means of transportation for my son and I, and there was absolutely no way that I could get him to school and back into my job. Dad and I made the decision that he was going to go live with him. His father lives 2 hours away. I couldn't see my son because I didn't have a car. There was no way that I can travel to see him, and my mental state was deteriorating little by little. I acquired quite a bit of debt because I would use my credit card for everything that my son wanted, everything that I may needed. After I lost my job, and that was a whole nother issue because I lost my main source of income and there was just like nothing that I can really do. For whatever reason, I couldn't find a job. Besides the family problems that were going on as well, I just didn't have any money. I knew that there was no way that I can continue paying rent, and I made the decision to live out of my car. Honestly, wanted to get any job that I could, and I started applying everywhere, and I got a job in a whole different city. Honestly, that job kickstarted everything that I needed it to kickstart. Now, I'm choosing to live out of my car, not only finish paying off my debt, but to also save money to be able to get an apartment for my son and I. Because a lot of people think for some reason that I abandoned my son. You can judge all you want, but I never abandoned my son, and I'm never going to. Now, I'm giving myself a 4-month goal. So by the end of this year, I am hoping that I reach my, and I will. I know I am. If you guys want to be part of my journey, that would be so great. I love having you guys here. I love the community that we've built here because everyone here is so sweet. I love that there's no hate. I love that there's no negativity. And that's what I strive for everyone to be. So I got 4 months to finish paying off my debt and save enough money to be able to get an apartment. After that, I am very much hoping that I can, settle down. Car life is cool, and I do recommend anyone to do it if you do want to save money. But me being a mother, I don't think I could take doing car life any much longer than the end of this year. I would want to buy an RV and then travel with my son. I think that'd be so great, but that would be in the future, and I'm very, very excited to see how that plays out. I'm doing this for my son. At this point, nothing can stop me from accomplishing this. But that is the shortened version, but not really because I hella yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I love you.
I live in a van in a parking lot, and I don't want to travel. I don't want to find another spot. I like this parking lot. This is the best parking lot that I have ever seen. And I've traveled to a lot of parking lots. I've lived in my van full-time for 10 months, and I've had the van for 4 years, so I would just go on like part-time trips, right? This parking lot is quiet. It's hidden. There's great internet service, so I can do all the work I need to do. Also, when I open this side door, the only thing that's over here is nature. So it's not like I'm opening the door to stores or other cars. Like when this side door is wide open, which it is, most of the day while I'm working, I see plants and I see flowers, and there's actually 2 hummingbirds that live in this tree over here. And the hummingbirds, they come right up to the cat. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But the cat will be like sitting on her cat tree, looking out the door, and this hummingbird just comes like eye level. And you can always hear it because their wings sound like a little mini helicopter. And I'm like, oh my God, hey. And also, there are about 4 or 5 other vans that live in this parking lot. Now, I stay here the most. The other vans, they come and they go. One of the vans over here, they have another job, so they go to that job.
I don't know what the guy with the pink surfboard does. Maybe he just goes and surfs all day. This lady, she makes jewelry. So she goes over to like the touristy area and she sells the jewelry that she makes. And then this guy over here who's in the truck with the dog, I've never spoke to him. I wave and say hello to everybody, but I've never really spoken to any of them. And then the one time that I went to go speak to, there's a couple that lives in a van over here. I went to speak to them, but they're not rude or mean by any means, but it's very obvious that they do not want friends. They have no desire whatsoever to communicate or connect, but again, they're not rude, so it's not like one of those situations. So, respect. You don't want friends, that's great, because I don't really want friends either. But I know it sounds weird that I'm living in a parking lot, that I stay in the parking lot, and that I don't want to leave the parking lot. But maybe if you were in my situation, you would understand. I like living in this parking lot more than I liked living in my old neighborhood. It's more quiet, there's less traffic, and there's a grocery store right here. I'm also making acquaintances with the people in the grocery store. They notice me, they recognize me, they're really nice to me. They know this is my van. There's a mall that's walking distance. There's lots of food. There's a Ross. So, really everything I need is right here in this parking lot. And I know it's weird, but I've always been weird.
Minimum wage, and I cannot afford to live.
I can break it down perfectly for you. So I'm one of the many Americans struggling with homelessness. I live in a vehicle that was made in 1996. I live on the side of the road, and I live in parking lots from time to time. When I can, I stay at campgrounds. But this was obviously not my first choice of living. At the time I became homeless, I was 22. My grandma had just passed away. I had applied to 6 different apartments, and I got denied at every place because I didn't have renter's history or credit yet. Because like I said, at the time I was 22, I never rented before, and I never built credit. So after being denied multiple times, I did have to stay in motels, and my money was going fast on nights at motels. Plus, the motels weren't super clean or safe, and I have 2 cats. Well, I have 3 cats, but at the time when I first became homeless, I did have 2 cats. Now, the answer that you want, I have. You're wondering why they are doing this, and you're wondering why we are not fighting back. Slavery never stopped, it just evolved. The government requires you to be a slave to them in order to rent an apartment. You could have money. You could have, for example, $10,000 cash, but you still will not be able to get a place to live unless you have proof that you have been a slave to the system, pay stubs, bank statements, proof that you work a certain amount of hours. If you are not making money for the government, then they don't want you. They don't want to help you, and they see you as a burden. The system is set up for rich families. If I had a co-signer, I would be able to get a place to live, but I had no family or friends to co-sign for me, so I've just been navigating this kind of by myself, and I spent my life savings on this vehicle so that I didn't have to sleep in my car or outside in the park. But the government doesn't believe you guys will fight back, and they're trying to make you so tired that you won't fight back, or you will become so rageful and you won't think straight, so you'll get yourself in legal trouble, and then once you get locked away, you can legally be used as a slave. It says it in our amendments. When you get arrested, you can be used as a slave, like legally. It says it in our amendments in very little font. So at the end of the day, it's all about the elites using the middle class and the poor as their workhorses. I always try to tell people you will never get rich working a 9-to-5 job because the rich never got rich that way. The rich are telling you guys, go work a 9-to-5 job and you will be like us. But they really got their money from generational wealth, slavery, funding wars. The reason inflation happened and you guys need to be making more money for your rent and for your gas is because they're giving money to the wars, because the rich elites of our country make money by funding wars, by trading missiles and trading weapons and stuff. So that's why they need you guys to work extra hard for them right now, because you guys are helping funding the war. Meanwhile, many of you are getting angry, rageful, getting yourself in legal trouble because you're tired, you're exhausted. You're needing to depend more on healthcare because you're sick now and you're getting overworked. No humans should be working this much. Never in history have we before. The funniest thing is, right now, I'm homeless living on the side of the road, but I'm making more money than my grandma was, or my grandparents, my mother, like back in the day. Their rent was like $300, but they're going to tell us that they worked just as hard as us and that we're the bums and we're lazy because they're not going to own up to the mess that they made. And they don't care anyways because they're not going to be on earth for much longer. So we're going to be the ones to deal with it, and then our children. But you guys just have to realize it's about slavery. It's about power and control. It's about feeding the elites, feeding the rich. They don't care what happens to you. They see you as ants. If you pass away, they will replace you with a new employee. They really don't care. You're just money. You make money for them, and they even say money doesn't exist. It's just meant to control you because they know money doesn't exist. They trade numbers. They do not trade money. Money is paper. It's a made-up thing to control the middle class and the poor so that you guys stay in your lane. So you can keep getting angry like this, but that's not going to do anything. You have to become brave. Stop depending on the government. They control you with fear because they think that you need them. They took away our human instincts, so you don't think you can hunt for food or make your own house, but you think you can make money to pay somebody to do it for you. And that's where they have you, because you don't know how to be self-sustainable anymore and you need to rely and depend on them. When at the end of the day, we have trees we can go cut down and build our houses. We know how to build a fire. I grew up in a town where hunting is a thing every season. We hunt for deer and turkeys. But they have you fooled thinking that giving away $2,000 every 30 days is winning. When at the end of the day, not paying rent is winning, dude. I don't pay rent. Literally, I've never paid rent in my entire life. I tried, but they didn't want me to because I didn't qualify. So now I've been learning how to live in different ways without the government, and they hate me for that. But in these next couple of years, you're going to see van life, RVs, trailers all over the place because some people want to be free for the little time that we have on earth. We don't want to be working our young lives away for corporations that don't care about us. At the end of the day, people need to stop paying rent and fueling the rich and the elites, but that's not going to happen. So, get it how you live it while you're on earth. Try to enjoy your time while you're here and just try to wake up to the fact that money and material items really aren't all that.
Like there's no joy in actually living outside, being homeless, living in your car, living in uncomfortable situations. But people are actually doing this as a survival strategy to find a way to just live through all these things, through all these challenges, and still we still have the government making it illegal for people to actually be homeless when that should never be the norm. Like honestly, a lot of people are actually even struggling to find shelters, and some people have really bad reviews about finding all these homeless shelters and how most of them are even too packed for you to even have any availability for people to go into because there's really not a lot of them. So now when people are trying to say, oh, let me just manage and just get by, like just stay, let me just sleep in my car, let me just like sleep somewhere, and here you have the police or people reporting. What are people supposed to do? Like when you find yourself in a situation where you are without a home, what are you supposed to do? Just go to the nearest police station and surrender yourself and get locked up, or are you supposed to just off yourself? I just don't understand what's going on. It's just really really bad. I also wish that most of these apartments actually take it easy with expecting people to make more than they're supposed to make. Them with them checking your credit score and them actually wanting you to make 5 times the rent, 6 times the rent, 6 times the rent, and that's not really doable for many people. People are not making more than that because the rent is actually expensive. So how easy is it for you to make 4 times the rent? How easy is it? Even staying in places like tents, like you're exposing yourself, just being out, you're exposing yourself to different weather. Right now during the winter, people are actually they're exposed to cold. You never know if you could get attacked by animals or whatever could just be out there. It's just dangerous to be outside, and my heart really breaks for people finding themselves in this situation. And sadly, some people just don't have, a lot of people don't even have who to rely on, and it's not easy to be an adult and be asking for help because most people are not just going to be there for you when you need this. A lot of people individually are also dealing with their own mess, they're dealing with their own struggles, and sometimes people just don't have the energy to carry another person's weight. It's really a tough place to be in. Let's also talk about how bad it is when you don't have an address. Like having no address could actually ruin a lot of stuff for you. There's just so many challenges that come with being homeless, and it seems like everything just seems to be working. Everything will just look like they are working against a person when you look at it, like the system, like what's going on. If you've made it to the end of this video, please make sure you click the like button. It helps the algorithm and I appreciate that so much. And subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're watching me for the very first time. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video, and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to see what you think about this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.